We are in Spain for the launch of the 2017 V-Strom 1000. It's a bike that's has mostly received update because of Euro 4, so they had to make some emissions changes for this year. There's a few other things that Suzuki have tried to do to bring the bike a little bit more life and to kind of make it a bit more exciting. First up, they changed the colour scheme, so there's the yellow colour schemes kind of in the style of their motocross bikes. There's a few other new colours. They've got yellow wheels on this one as well, which kind of are meant to hawk after the factory motocross bikes are quite famous for having yellow wheels. But really it's pretty unchanged from before. The biggest new addition, I think, to the kind of the way it rides and from an ownership point of view has to be the cornering ABS. It's something I really like, I'm a big fan of. I like the fact that you have that extra safety net that you probably didn't have before. The seat's a little bit slimmer at the front, but otherwise it's the same bike as it was. And that's not a bad thing. For the price range, I think you get a lot of bike with the V-Strom. It's a bike that kind of falls into the category of, that's kind of all you can, I think, expect in that category. When you look at the bikes that it goes up against, it's probably one of the best in class, if not the best on the road. Its biggest competitor, I think, in terms of price and performance. In terms of riding and handling performance, it's good. The brakes are good, they feel nice, the turning capability of it is nice. It's a little bit slow to turn in, maybe it feels a little bit sluggish. It's got a really linear turning curve, it's just extremely comfortable most of the time. It's a good bike. I have nothing to moan about with it when I ride it. It's just that it's a good all-round bike. I think for this class of bike, and especially against its competitors, the suspension, the base suspension is really, really good. It's fully adjustable front and rear, so you can do compression and rebound, preload on the shock, as well as compression and rebound. But the stock setting is really good. It's a little bit soft on compression and quite stiff on the rebound, but as a general setting for touring riding and road riding, it works really, really well. I think if you pushed harder than we were riding today and you wanted to kind of put the hammer down for the riding we were doing, the twisty roads and a little bit of straight road, I never had a problem with it. I was completely comfortable with the suspension setting all day. I think the V-Strom has a really nice riding position, especially for cruising. The seat is kind of quite spacious where you sit. It's got a nice cut, but it's also quite flat, so it lets you move around a lot and you never really feel particularly uncomfortable. And likewise, at the front of the seat, it's quite narrow, so it's not difficult to get your legs down. It feels like the seat's narrow and it works really well, I think, if you're a bit shorter. I'm not short, but I didn't really have a problem with it. Likewise, where it's narrow, it's quite easy to get forward on the seat. That makes just kind of improving the handling of the bike a bit easier because it's easy to get your weight forward and to make it turn in. Super, super linear power all the way through. Has a lot of torque hit near the bottom at about kind of 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. There's a lot of torque pull, and that's really where I enjoyed riding it the most. When you rev it and kind of keep the revs high and the gear low, even on the twisty roads, when you run a gear high everywhere and let the bike roll and then just use that V-twin torque to pull out of a corner, it's really, really a lot more fun to ride. For the most part, everything on this bike is just good. I don't have anything to kind of moan about. It does what it sets out to do. It works well on the road, it's comfortable, it's functional. The V-Strom kind of is that bike where there's nothing that really needs fixing, it just does a good job.